All right, good morning. Quiet this morning here. Not too much going on. Big week. Earnings, Fed, consolidate or digest last week's V reversal and run to new all-time highs for some, I guess, the main indices that did that. S&P and NASDAQ and the Dow creeped back up there above the big number. Another historical event. So I think that, look, the markets have been erratic, to say the least. And I think you might be just looking at the patterns and saying, okay, news is coming out. I think it'll be erratic in a tighter range. Meaning, kind of it's a thought, why would the market move very far here with pending news that could move it? And what moves the markets? Traders, institutions. So unless they have inside information, and of course no one does, why would they commit big one way or the other? And if someone does have it, well, who doesn't have it? That so you hear and see where I'm going here with this. So, and maybe they run up into earnings, and you look at something like Microsoft, and so from that mindset, McGraw, with a stock or a trend. Now, this is usually a screwed up type of situation when eSignal does this, and it's not going to release. And some kind of quirk in it. All right, I'm going to have to close it down and restart it. Hold on. When you type in the wrong symbol and do it a second time, it's working, but it will not do anything. Come on, damn it. Okay, I'm going to do that. Takes a second to get it back up. So expand on what McGraw is saying about tech stocks going up in front of earnings. Sure, that might happen, and that's a thought, right? It's not a strategy, and so we can have lots of thoughts. Doesn't mean we press the button. Which I'm not really necessarily speaking to you, McGraw. I know you know that. Point is that for others that hear things that are new, they tend to think that if someone that's been around a while says something, they might do it. And so we don't want to encourage that. Anyway, so every thought, a strategy has to be applied to it, which means how am I going to trade it? Am I trading it from the daily chart? Am I trading it from the 15-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, or any chart of your choice that sets up what a pattern? And we go from there with anything that we're going to trade. So SPX, and I messed up my stuff here because the thing went down. I didn't save it. And let me just go back and look at the futures here. They're just kind of hanging there doing nothing. So the numbers that I've written down, and the upside, it's not that far away. Because I was just looking at it. Is there any lines of defense? And clearly, other than Friday's high, there's nothing because it's new all-time highs. 44.35. You can see that's it is within striking distance as to the upside. So I would wait possibly for some break here before considering something. And the downside, if we could get some downside going, while there is a void here, there is premium at 43.50, 65 by 80 cents last I looked. So, and even the strike under that, there was a little, but waiting to see if it pulls back. If it starts to pull back and the premiums rise and you can get further away, 43.50 at least has levels of support here, and there's an unfilled gap in this 43.69.70-ish area. So I think the better play would be see if the markets do sell off. They are up multiple days in a row, and then looking at this level down here or a little bit lower for a credit spread. Clearly buyers are in control. Just the news coming may put a cap on it. You got Apple and Microsoft tomorrow, which is going to be after the close. So it's a lot of time before that happens. So broader markets. Just stalled here so far inside day. If it looked like this at the end of the day, I would say, well, that's normal after, running up for several days to have an inside day with momentum stalls. No big deal. NASDAQ, no big deal. So we've mentioned this in prior pre-market analysis and about the prior day's low or prior bar's low, better said in the time frame you're looking at. Your prior bar's low is your first reference point of support, and then that's applied to whatever time frame you're trading. Daily time frame clearly more significant than a 5-minute, and weekly is giant. Prior bar's low being a reference point of support because it's a range expansion bar. So it's very important that it doesn't go down there. Now, what I'm talking about doesn't suggest that it does or it'll even break the prior day's low. It's the thought process. Now, if this closed like that today, the next thought would be, hey, that would be relatively easy to break a prior day's low versus a larger bar. Right? Common sense. Now, that would open up the door to, hey, things are likely to pull back a bit. No big deal. As long as it doesn't pull back deep into what we now have as major support, we look at that as being, buyers should show up there. Right? So next step, you take your thoughts and see what happens today. Russell, trading range, Whippy went up, hang there, doing basically nothing. And the Dow, well, you can see the little peekaboo above 35,000 for the industrials and new all-time high, but big bottoming tail bar. And don't go anywhere near there. Just eyeballing this low to high, no fib numbers needed. Stay in the upper 50%. If it dips down, it should pop back up again. Right? Might need to go sideways and consolidate this whippy price action. So it's just in a trading range, and buyers stepped up down there. Now we see where it might go. Bitcoin, the big mover today. We talked about bottoming pattern here, the pivot lows, pivot low, pivot low. And this is now a pivot low because we've got 3 days to the right there and 3 days to the left. And whatever got it moving, the pattern said accumulation, but now it's gapped up and it's taken out this pivot high. And so it shouldn't go back down here. This really should not even fill the gap. It's a bottoming pattern. It's not the same as, like, if I point over here to the weekly chart where it was in an uptrend and turning up and consolidating for a while, and it was igniting. Now, this is a bottoming pattern. And while I say it shouldn't go down and fill the gap, that's the ideal scenario when you get that. And of course, we don't know if this is going to look like this with this big green bar when it stops trading. But if it does, we want to see it consolidate here. And, it is hitting 40,000. So some building of support would be ideal. And it cleared this for now. There's, this pivot high up here. So some sideways price action would be ideal to build new support. Similarly, what it was doing here, it's the same idea. So here it was near support. Now it's got a void below. But this one being near the pivot low, wide range bar, it went sideways for a couple of days. And, unfortunately, there was a weekend. Unless you took a position prior to that, which would have been fine, would have stopped under here. Now you got to wait. Oil. Also had, the whip down and the whip up. Didn't recover as much. And neither did XLE, the most broad ETF of energy. It's coming in here a little bit. Gold, just kind of marking time here. Really not interested in this. I don't have any kind of an event kind of thing. This was an event, the breakdown bar failure that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. But now I think it's leave it alone. Silver underperforming. Well, actually looks like it could go lower. And the dollar's been talked about quite a bit. That's hanging up here. And the euro momentum is slowing here. So this is interesting as to, if the dollar starts to fall and this goes up, it may be something to pay attention to. So I would just set an alert on this and see if it does start perking up, since I think that, this and interest rates, the markets probably don't care much about it right now, but I think would if things start moving. 127, 126. So we'll also keep an eye on this, see if it starts dropping. There's got a lot of moving things here this week. Big tech week earnings, the Fed, the 10-year, which has been in focus and it's low, and the economics behind all of that. And if this starts to drop, is that a negative influence on the positive earnings, which I think they have to be like the most amazing earnings ever to keep these tech stocks up. We'll see what they do. And you've got the transports that had a nice reversal week, but still in a downtrend. So we talked about here, if they could get above the bottoming tail bar, that didn't happen. So we'll see. Are you mostly concerned with dollar euro? Any other key currencies to keep an eye on? Well, that's the main one when we talk about the dollar, but the pound here, that's been going down as well. As which, the dollar going up, in and out. Sometimes the yen futures, kind of have an influence for whatever reason. I've never studied it that much, but it's talked about. Um, bottoming pattern here, really not much of anything going on. And Canada, they all got beat up as the dollar went up. So I'm just taking note of it since the euro is down near that major support and the dollar's been going up. So, with the idea of interest rates, right, going up, short-term interest rates, and we've talked about this from a year or so ago or longer. I said, keep an eye on this. And I said, as long as it stays down, that's positive for the market. Now that it's perked up, that's supportive for the dollar, because all currencies are tied to interest rates in that country. So if this starts moving up some more, right, keep an eye on that. Markets are not going to like it. So you got short-term interest rates start going up, and this is the 5-year, that starts moving down. The yield curve contraction or the threat of inversion becomes a very serious influence on the market's intermediate term. We're not there yet, but we have to monitor these things so we know what's going on. Right? Are TLT and TNX inversely proportional? I don't know about proportional, McGraw. We know that bond prices and interest rates move in opposite directions. And TLT, you can see the pattern in TBT just moves in the opposite direction. To you, Dan.
All right, good morning. Yeah, I mean, Greg mentioned a few things. We got Fed, we got earnings. I think the other two big stories of the morning here. Yeah, Bitcoin and China. Yeah, remember I said stay the heck away from China. Don't mess with a dictator. They were causing some harm on these stocks, and they're still tanking this morning. Hey, Luis, here, drop down, please. Bitcoin, I say it's a cult. Amazon says they're gonna, start taking it. Why isn't this adjusting? That's not right. Bitcoin's not 38. Is it right? Okay. All right, I guess it is. I thought I saw something on the ticker. It was 42. All right, never mind. But yeah, that's the right chart. We said it was a possible breakdown failure last week, so we were watching this every single day, and it was a 1, 2, 3. I just said, but it's not a quality one because you got no price for it. But the fact that it was a breakdown failure was a very positive first start. We actually have put spreads on coin, free market, coin getting a nice gap up here, and we have a put spread on Mara. So Mara, Riot, I like those two as possible new trades. Nice gap over this little consolidation. Ether, we were watching also for a bottom here. The retest on the 200 did not hold, but then it broke down, small bull island reversal. If this is a bottom, there's still plenty of room. I think $26, which is another $5 higher. So we'll definitely continue to keep an eye on this. All right, so our opens, I adjusted those stops, by the way. Checkpoint also, we have a put spread. McGraw, I had earnings marked as the 29th. And then I thought I saw something that said they reported earnings this morning. Hope it was this morning, because in that way, we've made it through the gap risk. Checkpoint, yeah, 726. All right, so the initial estimate of 729 was wrong. All right, so we're home free on checkpoint. This was one where we sold a 115, saying that we would hold it over earnings because we got wonderful premium, wonderful support. And look, close with a kind of a 123, a big price void. So that worked great. We also have a FUV, FUV, we're holding over earnings way down here. We also have Cisco, we're short the 52s, way the heck down here. So those look fine. The only thing gapping against us here, Neo, we have a put spread, and that's just it's getting hit again, the downdraft with the with China. So let's go ahead and move stop 30-minute low. We're short the 42.50s for Friday. So, hey, for you folks in our advisory swing letter, I sent 2 Telegram alerts, but we have a new channel, new Telegram channel that you have to just go to the members area and click over. I know it's, we just got to do that like every quarter. All right, let's continue here. Let's see, RB is asking about $ VIP. This one. And VIP, no, it's a range bound. The range bound, I don't like the way it trades, but Friday's high. Could be a day trade. Slim. Bottom of the range fell from the top of the range to the bottom of the range. Don't like shorting those as swings, but weekly, monthly, next week our MT Live is on topping patterns. That's actually a beautiful, beautiful topping pattern on a weekly. I like it. I would like it more if it through 3 weeks ago it didn't have this tail because it's the last week's low sitting right on that support. But you got the monthly confirms. So it's definitely a watch. Maybe day trade. It's a nice bearish day trade short here. Let's look at some gappers. 1460 CLSK. 30-minute high maybe, but I think we can find better. This Diddy, another Chinese recent IPO. This is the China Uber. I heard on the news that some analysts came out and downgraded it. Like, really? I think it was $18. Like, why? Why are you doing that? I just don't get it. K-Web, that's the China internet sector getting whacked. TSP, I don't know what this stock does, but there's no great price void, but that's getting hit.
Sometimes it's done for legal reasons, Dan,
Really?
to cover their butts. Maybe they recommended it at some point.
So how would that protect me if you told me to buy it at $18 and now you're telling me to sell it at $8?
Well, no, it doesn't, but at least it says you recognize the mistake.
I never thought of it. All right, Pets is in pain, but no setup. And AON 249. That's a gap's too big for me into resistance. Flow there. Flow 84.50. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. HVBT, I just saw this thing going by the ticker. It's a blockchain something or other. But, maybe last week's high. I actually was looking at block BLOK over the weekend as a possible put spread. Because this one is optionable. LCID. I saw this guy on television, CNBC. Now, I don't know why it must be a SPAC, is my guess, because it's not trading here. The guy, CCIB is oh, really? But the guy was saying they're like a Tesla competitor. CCIB, I don't get a symbol either. A BMI. All right, so our checkpoint, we're fine on the puts. Selling off here a little bit, so let's caution on the longs, but I